Hello, welcome to Mystics, Muses, and Sacred Sites. I'm Maya Lila DeVento. I am a practical mystic and a transformational coach and slash spiritual guide. And I'm in the process of moving from Oregon to Greece. And this is, it's me and my two daughters. They are 6 and 9, almost 10. And this is our last night in the United States. And I don't know if that's forever or for now or what. I get the feeling I'm not coming back to mainland America, maybe to run retreats in like Sedona and the Smith River in Northern California, because I would love to come back for those spots. But I don't know. For now, we are moving to Europe with no intention of coming back. So I'm a little under the weather. We picked up a little cold during our travels. Oh, and look at my henna. My one of my best friends, Joy, did a little travel henna to bless our journey. Um, and yeah, tomorrow we fly out at. We have to get up at like 3 a.m. to fly to Calgary, where we have a day-long layover, and then we'll fly Calgary to Rome, and we'll spend a few days in Rome. And then I'm not exactly sure what we're doing after that. We have about a week before we'll go to Ananda Assisi, which is the ashram I used to live at outside of Assisi in Italy. So we may go to Sardinia to visit a friend. I wanted to go to Florence and take my girls there, but it's going to be so fucking hot in Florence. It's not an ideal time to introduce young children to a beautiful place like Florence. So I don't think we're going to do that. My intuition is saying no. But yeah, so I think we'll stay in Italy maybe a 3 weeks to a month and then head over to Greece. And for now, we have our sights set on Crete. I thought I had a friend who's been living in Greece for many years, and we've talked so many times, like in the past, I don't know, 7 years about me moving there. And she has a Greek husband and a half Greek daughter. And I thought I had written her and she wasn't in Greece anymore, but then a mutual friend was like, no, she's still there. And I was like, oh, and then I looked and I hadn't written to her. And I don't know, it's like this weird brain fart time warp thing. But so she's like, yes, I'm in Crete, come. And I'm like, okay, great. And I have another friend in Crete. So also my favorite books, I've been obsessed with this series by Gerald Durrell, and I think it's called My Family and Other Animals. And it's an autobiography of a man who moved to Crete, to Greece, with his family from England in the 1930s. And he basically just grew up on the island like wild and learning about bugs and animals. And he was just obsessed with bugs and animals, as most children are. And then he went on to become a famous zoologist and like kind of like David Attenborough, like TV natured guy in England. And his books, he has a series of three, a trilogy about growing up on the island of Crete with his insane family. One of his brothers is like a famous playwright, Larry Durrell, I forget his name, Lawrence Durrell, I don't know. Anyways, these books are so good and they're so funny, like that British humor, and he has just so many zany adventures. And I've been reading that book to my older daughter Shasta, and she loves it. And so going to Crete feels kind of poetic and beautiful. There's also this triple goddess, like snake goddess of it's like a Minoan snake goddess that specifically there are statues found on Crete. I don't know much yet, but we're definitely going to go and explore the goddess stuff in Greece specifically and elsewhere. And yeah, we're on an adventure. I got people ask like, why are you like what precipitated this? And in February, I had kind of an awakening. My heart cracked open. I was getting a lot of downloads, like a billion synchronicities a day. I could feel the universe, speaking to me, and the intense love that the universe or God, goddess, like whatever you want to call it, has for us, for all humans. That it's just like it's right there on the edge of our skin and we can't feel it because we're in this illusion of, God playing human. And that's the whole point, is to forget that we're divine, to forget that we're God, and be this little human self, like, on our little adventures and terrified half the time, and remembering our strength and remembering our divinity. So I had this awakening in February, and I got a strong message: get rid of your shit, get your finances in order, and you're moving, you're leaving. And I was like, where are we going? I don't know, like, what's going on? And I just knew it was like islands, like that's what was coming up. And at first I thought it was we were going to Hawaii, to the Big Island, where I had invitations and I've been before, I've lived before. And then it got redirected towards Italy and Greece, and I've lived in Italy multiple times, and I just love Italy so much. And I've been wanting to go to Greece very strongly for 25 years about. And Greece for a long time has been like my main envy point. Like, you know, when you get really envious of your friends or people in the world, my two biggest, like the strongest stabs of envy I've ever gotten. One was when I was like 19 maybe, and I was studying abroad in Italy, in Florence, and there was this band at this little tiny bar I would go to, Teatro Scribe in Florence. And I'm not using my Italian accent right now, but I do have one, and I speak Italian fluently, and I'm so excited. I just love the Italian language, so I'm excited to be back immersed in it for a little bit. Anyways, so this woman got on stage with this band, and she sang Son of a Preacher Man. And the stab of envy that I had, like, I wanted to be on stage singing, but singing was my biggest terror at the time, and I've worked through that. But so that was my biggest envy. My second biggest envy was anytime I would see pictures of Greece or anybody I knew in Greece, I'd be like, oh, like I want to be in Greece. But one time, this friend of mine from like many years ago, I saw her on Instagram or Facebook or something, and she was sailing in Greece, and I was like, oh, how did she get to Greece, and how is she sailing? And like, she doesn't even know how to sail. And like, I was so envious. And I feel like if we pay attention to those points of envy, like, what do you feel the most envious about in other people's lives? That's an indicator of what you really deeply, truly desire, and also what I believe is your destiny. And I believe our dreams and these long-term obsessions or callings or longings are actually our life path and our destiny that seem illogical, that seem irrational, that seem kind of meaningless or pointless. They're not meaningless or pointless. They are what you're here to do, be, have, accomplish, whatever. So pay attention to those things that you envy in other people's lives, because those are big, giant clues to what you are here to do and what you're here to experience and accomplish in this life. So I want to be singing in Greece on a sailboat, apparently. And so with this awakening, another thing that came online was that I am here to do healing work, and I've never been trained in like Reiki or any kind of healing modality specifically. And I've always been obsessed with transformation and personal growth and healing in general. Like, everybody's got fucking trauma. Oh, sorry if I'm like messing with my mic. Everyone has trauma. And I think as humans, we're here to come back to wholeness and just even remember our wholeness. Because again, with the divine amnesia, we're already whole. We can't get any more whole than we already are, but we forget and we think that we're not whole. And that's kind of part of the game. And so I'm seeing like what I see in that's happening in the world with awakening, with this shift in consciousness that has kicked on in the last year or so. I call it the divine reunion. And I feel that, we're coming back into unity with our own divinity, with our own wholeness, also in the union of the masculine and the feminine, like the internal masculine, the internal feminine, and expressing the highest aspects of those, and becoming fully divine and fully human. And this is the trick. This is the thing that I feel like has been lacking in a lot of spiritual teachings, because I was a huge into Abraham Hicks for like a decade, and I tried really hard to Abraham Hicks my life into alignment, and I needed to go into the darkness and into the pain to alchemize it. And Abraham, they kind of give you some working up the emotional scale things, but it didn't work for me. And I learned the hard way by going into a relationship that I thought I could control with my appreciation, and it was shitty. It was a shitty relationship, and it felt shitty. And I could not, no matter how hard I tried, I could not shift it just by thinking good thoughts about it. I had to go into my own sadness, my own fear, my own discomfort, my own pain in my body, my grief. And I had to hold it and honor it, and I had to be witnessed in the honoring and holding of it, and I had to move it, and I had to dance it, I had to, just feel it, but in a safe space, in a supportive space that helped me to go into it and then move it in, transmute it into beauty. And that's what I've been doing the last 4 years now, in Kindred Meditation. I facilitate that, and it's a beautiful somatic movement style of meditation. And okay, where was I? Divine union, divine reunion. Oh, fully human. So I'm finding in my own life that yes, I want to be the highest version of myself, and I want to fully express my divinity. And I also am here, I'm human, I'm fully human, and I need to let myself be fully human and, cry and grieve and get freaked out and think everything's gonna, fail, and that I'm fucking up my life. And, I have to let myself go into that process of being fully human with grace and with gentleness and with witnessing and honoring and awareness. And when I'm in the fully human part, I need to reach out to my friends, and I need to say, hey, can you hold space for me? Do you have time to hold me while I cry, or get on the phone with me while I cry? Because I have lost sight of my divinity and the divine and my connection, and I am trapped in the ego human fear part of me. And I just need to go through it. Like, we need to go through it with another person, with our friends, with our loved ones who can hold that safe space. We need to go through the fully human, uncomfortable experience to get back into connection with our divinity and with the divine, and be able to receive like all the things that the divine wants to give us, because the divine wants to give us our dreams. The divine wants us to enjoy our lives. Like, this is why we're here. This is fun for the divine. But most of us spend our time, and sorry if I'm like spitting, most of us spend our time in the doubt, fear, suffering, energetic cycles of yuck that humans so often engage in when they're coming from wounding rather than from wholeness. So, yeah, I feel like, aside from just being a little sick, I feel calm. I feel ready. I feel grounded. This move is like 6 months. I mean, this move is like 20 years in the making. I've wanted to live outside the U.S. since I first left the U.S. when I was 18 years old, and I went to France and I went to Italy. I didn't care for France, but when I set foot in Florence, I was like, like, I've been here before. I'm home, and I've not actually felt that feeling anywhere else in the world other than Florence specifically. That really like visceral sense of return to a place that I know. But I don't want to live in Florence. It's too much. Like, it's beautiful. I love to visit, but like, I need nature. Like, I'm a nature girl, and I don't want to live in a city ever again, even a tiny little city like Florence. So then when I was 19, I studied abroad in Florence, and I just fell in love. I fell in love with the Italian language. I fell in love with Italy. I fell in love with an Italian man. And when I had to come home after 5 months of being there, I was wrecked. Like, I was devastated for months. I was totally depressed. I think I stayed in bed for months, which I've never done in my life. Like, that was the only time that I was that depressed. And then after I graduated from college, I was like, okay, I'm moving back to Italy. And he and I were still together. And so I moved back to Italy, and I was there for 3 months, and I just couldn't make it work with money and residency and da-da-da. And I had college loans, and I was like, I need to go, which reminds me, I need to call my college loan provider before I leave, because I need to, just need to adjust some things. But yeah, I was like, I have to pay my college loans, so okay, I'll go back to the U.S. and then I'll just pay them off really quick, and then I'll come back to Europe. And of course, like, that didn't work out. Like, that turned into many years, and I would take trips to Italy, but it wasn't until 2012 when I was living in Argentina, And then I went to Italy, again, following intuition and divine guidance with not really any kind of concrete plan or way of making it work. But I went, and then I ended up living and working in an ashram for a year, outside of Assisi, Ananda Assisi. And after the year there, after that year, I felt ready. I felt ready to leave Italy, and I still love Italy. And we might end up there. I don't know. I'm headed for Greece, but after that solid year of living there, I felt like I had worked through that karma, or I'd done what I needed to do, and that gaping, longing hole that I'd had from like age 19 to age 33, I think was when I left Italy. Like that, I came to a sense of completion. And I still intended to come back after I returned to the U.S. because my father had died and my grandmother had died. And I intended to go back to Italy. And then the universe had other plans. And then I had children. And then I ended up in Oregon, which I love Oregon. And I don't feel like it's like my long-term home, which is why I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm on my alchemist journey, my spiritual quest of like finding, like, I feel like there's a place for me, and maybe it's on a sailboat, and so I'll just be, sailing around. But I feel like I haven't found my home yet, and I don't know where that is. And I'm going to Greece first, and maybe it's Greece, maybe it's not. I don't know right now, but I am going, and I'm stepping in. Oh, my battery's dying. Okay. I'm going, and I'm stepping into the unknown, and yes, it's terrifying. Yes, I doubt myself. The whole time I've doubted myself, like, am I making the right choice? But I knew I was making the right choice, and I could feel that it was the right choice, and everything has just flowed, and one thing after another. Oh my God, have I been talking for 17 minutes? Okay, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I can talk forever, as you can tell. Everything has flowed. Everything has worked out so smoothly. Like I sold my van, we booked our flights, we got our passports, because if you have a flight within 2 weeks, you can get your passport rushed, and you can get it like the next day, which is a secret I only learned this year. And I was like, okay, maybe the passports won't work out. Maybe there'll be some issue, and like we won't be able to go. And we got them, and it was like so easy and fast. And I was like, okay, like this is happening. We're doing this, and we're doing it. So I will keep you posted on our journey. Right now I am in my friend Tina's cousin's little downstairs basement apartment, which they so generously let us stay in for these final few days before we fly out of Seattle. Shout out to Michelle and Dave. Thank you so much. So yeah. And I think I'll be making, we'll see. I'm trying to just make videos more spontaneously and often, and put them on to YouTube just to document this. And I did want to touch on, and I should just make a full video on this, but grief, change and grief, and like grieving. Whenever you have change, grief arises because something is ending for the new beginning. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, when you get what you've always wanted, and when you begin to achieve your dreams, like, there's a lot of grief that has to be worked through in order for you to move forward into your dreams. Because, I mean, it's going to be scary, but it's also going to be sad, because there's going to be shit that you're leaving behind that was not your dream life. And even though it's exciting to move towards your dream life, there's still things that need to be grieved about where you're leaving behind. And I've been doing that the last few days. Like, I think I was focused on the passport and getting everything done and accomplished. And so when we landed here in Seattle at this apartment, I my friends left, because I had my friends Joy and Rob like escorted me from kind of Grants Pass and then up to Seattle and Washington, and because we had to like kind of go all over the place to get the passports, and then we camped with friends in the southern part of Washington and then back up to Seattle. So it was a whole thing, but they were with me, which I so will forever appreciate. And we'd all been living together the last 2 months, and so we've all been going through huge transitions in our lives, and it was like this convergence point of release that we helped each other get to. And it's sad. Like, it's really sad. And I'm probably gonna start crying. But it's sad for me to like walk away from two of my closest friends. And I know they'll always be my friend, and we're gonna talk on Zoom and all that, but it's different when you're living with people you love and then you go across the fucking world. And this is one of the main problems with travel and living in other places, because you end up leaving pieces of your heart, around the world, I which I definitely did when I moved from Los Angeles to Argentina to Patagonia to Italy, and then to Oregon and to San Francisco and to Hawaii and Mount Shasta, because you meet so many beautiful people, and they become a part of you, and like a piece of your heart like stays with them in all these little places around the world. And some of the people you never see again, and some of them you do, and that's the best part too, is the reunion. Like when you see people that you love that you haven't seen for 10 years, like that's one of my favorite feelings. And I know a lot of my friends are going to be coming to Italy and Greece, because who doesn't want to come to Italy and Greece? So I will be planning retreats, and you are welcome to come. But yeah, just a reminder that grief is important, and it's going to be a part of your life if you are changing and if you are following your dreams. And so if you are planning on doing this stuff, make sure that you have ways of grieving for yourself, and make sure that you have people in your life that can support you. And I realized the other day, it's like, I'm so blessed to have friends that I can celebrate with and grieve with, because they're one thing. Like, you can't separate them. I mean, and be whole. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop this video. Bye!